It's the TMZ Behind the Bar podcast with the TMZ lawyers, Jason Beckerman and Derek Kaufman.
It is a very special edition of the Behind the Bar podcast. It is our first ever Thanksgiving episode. You excited, Derek?
I'm so thankful to have you here with me, Jason.
So everyone's favorite holiday is upon us, and we're going to talk all things Thanksgiving. Celebrate the holiday, expose a few myths, and most of all, talk turkey. You ready to go?
Best time of the year. Let's do it.
I'm Jason Beckerman.
And I'm Derek Kaufman.
All right, so there's a lot you likely know about Thanksgiving. Some things you probably don't know about Thanksgiving. Not you, Derek. I know you know everything about everything.
I drill deep. You know that. But
Right.
paint me a picture of
Right.
Thanksgiving.
The very first Thanksgiving took place, this is what you guys likely know. The very first Thanksgiving took place in November 1621 at Plymouth, Mass. The feast was celebrated between the survivors of the Mayflower. I say survivors because in the first winter, during the voyage, half of the people on the Mayflower died. But between the survivors of the Mayflower and friendly neighboring tribe of Native Americans,
Who calls them the people of the Mayflower? They're the Pilgrims. Haven't you ever been to a young kid's?
Yes, Pilgrims. The Wampanoag Indians, who populated most of Rhode Island and Massachusetts at the time. And they got together, the Native Americans did, and the Pilgrims got together, and they celebrated a bountiful harvest. They enjoyed turkey, which was abundant in the New World. And these traditions have been followed ever since, and Thanksgiving has been celebrated as an American holiday ever since.
Sounds perfect. Everything but Squanto, you mentioned.
Everything but Squanto. What you might not have known, Derek,
Yeah.
is that everything that I just said is complete hogwash.
What?
Every single fact I just laid out there, the common misconceptions of Thanksgiving are everywhere. Here's what really happened. Thanksgiving was a traditional fall religious feast celebrated in England that went back centuries. Even the first Thanksgiving in the New World happened half a century before the Pilgrims arrived in the New World.
Our quintessentially American holiday
is a Spanish holiday, actually.
It's absurd.
And the first one in the New World dates back to at least 1565, probably before that. Spanish explorer Pedro Menendez de Avila invited members of the local Timucua tribe to dinner in St. Augustine, Florida. Much warmer, I'm sure, than what the Pilgrims
Sure.
had. After holding a mass to thank God for his crew's arrival, even among British colonists, as early as 1619, 2 years before the Pilgrims' first Thanksgiving, 38 British settlers reached Berkeley Hundred on the banks of the Virginia James River and had a day of Thanksgiving to Almighty God that they celebrated a feast to Almighty God in that November.
How did the Mayflower Pilgrims steal the thunder?
Well, history is written by the victors, and they were the victorious group of British and Dutch immigrants who came and really established the fountainhead of American democracy up in the Boston area, and so they've been the ones that wrote the history, and they painted themselves, and this is not to their fault. I'm sure they weren't aware of the Spanish Thanksgiving. I'm sure they may not have been aware of the Thanksgivings that are in Virginia. So to them, it was the first time that a Thanksgiving had been celebrated. But let me run through a couple more myths.
Wait, quickly though.
Yes.
When you say the victors, the Mayflower, so because they brought blankets full of smallpox that nearly caused the genocide of Native Americans, they get to define Thanksgiving in America?
Oh, of course.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I'm just checking. I'm checking. The other ones weren't as effective as killing off.
Not
Native
for lack of trying. But speaking of killing off tribes, the Wampanoag Tribe, in the years preceding the Pilgrims' arrival, had been decimated due to various diseases, were nearly as desperate as the Pilgrims were. And so the first feast in Massachusetts was likely endured by both parties as a means of survival, an alliance for survival rather than celebration. They also likely did not eat turkeys, although they were common at the time. There's no evidence. There's no documentary or archaeological evidence suggesting that turkeys were eaten. They certainly didn't have pies and cakes and the things we have. Why? Because they had no working ovens. They had fires to cook turkeys. It's hard to cook a pie over
I heard
an
they
oven.
had pumpkin stews and things like that.
They may have had pumpkin stews,
they
right.
Carved it up. Not quite as
And then,
good
if it wasn't bad enough, some 50 years after the Pilgrims landed, the King's Philip War raged against the English colonists, involving the Indians and the English colonists, resulting in the deaths of 40% of the Wampanoag. The few male survivors were sold into slavery in Bermuda and the West Indies.
What an uplifting ending,
What
Jason.
an uplifting ending to Thanksgiving. But nevertheless...
So when did it become our holiday?
All's well that ends well, because in 1863, as everyone knows, Honest Abe established Thanksgiving as a national holiday to take place in the last Thursday of November each year.
Au contraire.
Uh-oh, another myth.
Lincoln did not deliver us Thanksgiving quite. There's a little bit of nuance to that. So I did some digging on this. A Congressional Research Service tells us how Thanksgiving actually started
What
in
did the
America.
CRS have to say?
The CRS said, okay, there's 11 permanent holidays. This was in the first wave of holidays, and it was created around Lincoln's time, but that's not the first Thanksgiving. The first Thanksgiving was actually in 1789. November 26, President George Washington issued a proclamation calling for a day of public thanksgiving and prayer, and that's around the time of modern-day Thanksgiving. So 1789, well before Lincoln, we had our first Thanksgiving by George Washington.
Did we sit down with the native tribes as we're sort of the popular folklore, the meetings between the tribes and the settlers?
You know, we didn't. It took on a sort of just symbolic valence at that point. The stuff about meeting with the Native Americans during the colony period was gone. We had chased them off their land. We were already pushing westward. So in 1789, he just says, let's have a day of Thanksgiving. And we think of Thanksgiving as this monolith, right? I think of the last Thursday in November, we have Thanksgiving. Not always the case. So a day of Thanksgiving is sort of this general thing. There's holidays that were created that are specific, sort of Independence Day, obviously July 4th, right? We always celebrate on July 4th. Thanksgiving has moved around. And actually, we were going to have a second one. I thought this was the most fun tidbit. George Washington, 6 years after the first Thanksgiving, said, let's have another one.
No.
Second day of Thanksgiving.
Wait, another one doing the same year?
February 19th. He said February 19th in 1795, he's like, you know what? I haven't had enough turkey. Let's have a second Thanksgiving.
Here's ultimately the problem with that,
Didn't
though,
stick.
is that football season is over by February, and therefore, what will we do all day?
What do we do? What's on the telly? And in February, is it a dry period? There's no basketball.
No, basketball's in full swing.
Baseball.
Basketball's in full swing.
Basketball's in full swing. That's right.
But that's not an American holiday. You got football is for American holidays.
That's true.
As everyone knows.
You would have to change your tastes a little bit.
Right.
And you'd have to watch the
NFL
Detroit
season.
Pistons rather than the Lions. But so second Thanksgiving never really stuck. Whether it was the last Thursday or the third Thursday of Thanksgiving, there's been a lot of fluctuation. You're right that that Lincoln established it at first as the national holiday, but it wasn't until President Franklin Roosevelt proclaimed that the third Thursday in November is Thanksgiving Day. Didn't stick either, right? So that was now it's the last last Thursday.
Well, I think it's the last Thursday, but can it be the 30th of November? I thought it had the last Thursday.
Oh, I don't know. You're in the weeds. I don't know. Is that
totally
true?
In the weeds.
Okay. I think it's now the last Thursday. It was moved up by Roosevelt. He hoped to, and the reason, which leads to the next topic, is he hoped to aid retail business by producing a longer Christmas shopping season.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
he moved it up. He said third Thursday. That way we have a longer period between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We can really boost
because
retail sales.
Roosevelt's obviously in the Great Depression,
That's right.
and we have all these issues, and so he's doing anything he can to spark the economy.
That's
and
right.
one way he does it is to move Thanksgiving up.
Juice it a little
That's
bit. So
sacrilege.
that was technically the first Black Friday was a little bit earlier. Now,
I say it's sacrilege. Hold on, let me jump in. But can you absolutely see Donald Trump just on executive fiat just moving Thanksgiving? I can absolutely see that for no other reason than to like better the sales at Trump Tower.
Sure, why not? Why not to juice it a little bit? Get a few extra holiday weekends in there.
Right.
So May 1941, Depression is over. The administration concluded that this experiment of moving Thanksgiving up to the third Thursday rather than the last Thursday, it's over.
Oh, so reverse course within Roosevelt's term.
That's right. Well, yeah, just at the end, right before his death, I guess, right?
Well, 41.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
At the verge of World War II.
That's right. That's right. So December 1941, Roosevelt signs a joint resolution to settle the dispute and permanently establish Thanksgiving Day as a federal holiday to be observed on the fourth Thursday in November. The intent was to stabilize the date so there's no more confusion. So Roosevelt both introduced some confusion and stabilized it because he was president forever. He was president elected to 4 terms. So that's how actually Thanksgiving works. I thought that was pretty interesting.
All right. Well,
let me tell you a little bit about Black Friday.
Oh,
or no?
No, go for it.
All right.
Friday.
So since we talked about him boosting retail sales, let's talk about Black Friday. So Black Friday.
I know this one. Well,
tell me what it is.
I have not looked this up, but Black Friday is the day that celebrates when retailers go into the black. That's the accounting term. Red is meaning you take losses. Black is means you take you have net profits. And so it's the day that retailers begin making a profit is the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Myth. Not true.
That's I swear.
Not
that's
true. So this looks like, now there's a lot of confusion about Black Friday. In the 80s, the phrase came to mean that it was the first day retailers went from in the reds in the black. So when they were profitable, as you said, that was in the 80s. The first usage seems to go back to 1961 when the Philadelphia Police Department referred to the heavy and disruptive traffic the day after Thanksgiving. So not even necessarily retail shopping, but just heavy traffic from travel.
Oh,
and they
black
said this
being
is a
sort
Black
of the
Friday.
pejorative word.
That's right.
Eesh.
Eesh. Eesh. some journal, actually in 1951, some people date it back to a factory management and maintenance journal that said Black Friday refers to a practice of workers calling in sick on Friday because they wanted to extend what was a disruption.
Thursday
holiday, no Friday off. They'd all call in sick. They extended it to a 4-day weekend.
I see.
So that was
I kind of like these. I think they're all false, and my thing of going into the black is right.
Turkeys. Let's talk turkey.
So apparently 90% of Americans eat turkey in one fashion, one form or another on Thanksgiving, whether it be roasted, baked, fried, sliced, diced, marbled.
I love it.
I'm going.
I love every bit. I love turkey soup the next day. I just throw the bones in. I like deli sliced turkey.
I enjoy the carcass more than I do the bird itself. It's not my favorite bird. I mean, look, I love Americana.
It's so succulent. It's American.
No, it is dry.
Apple pie,
it
Jason.
Is dry. As American as apple pie, we all know, of course, that apples are not American either. Right?
I saw your face light up when I said it was as American as apple pie. Go ahead and tell me, am I wrong about apple pie?
You are wrong about apple pie. Apples are not native to the United States. They were brought here by Europeans. They were cultivated in Europe for thousands of years before they were ever here.
I don't accept it, John. The Appleseed planted the first apple seed.
Originally from Kazakhstan. 5 points if you can spell Kazakhstan. Off the air, please.
Okay. I will spell it for you off the air, though.
So
I can't
they
wait.
are as American as apple pie, which is not American at all.
Wait, do you think if Americans knew that our national fruit, I'd say it's our national fruit. I mean, oranges maybe.
Cherry, yeah.
Oh, cherries because the cherry orchards. But if they knew it was a Kazaki import, do you think we'd love apples as much?
They're delicious.
They are. They're pretty much a perfect fruit.
But apple pie is probably American itself. But anyway, I don't love the turkey. It's kind of dry to me. You love the turkey.
I love it. Look, the dark meat, it's a dark meat bird. And I think we as Americans.
The whole breast is white meat.
It is. It's all white, but the best parts of the turkey are
that I agree
being like a caveman, holding one of those big roasted legs, and walking around feeling like a caveman.
Yeah.
It's great. I have some great turkey trivia.
Go for it.
Okay. So the heaviest turkey ever. What do you think? How heavy?
51 pounds.
86 pounds in a
Wow.
1989 contest. What's a male turkey called?
Male turkey.
A male turkey is called a tom, like a tomcat.
Oh, I knew that.
And the females are called hens. The babies are called poults. Do you want to eat an old tom or a young tom for taste?
I want to eat an old one.
Old tom.
Wrinkled, dry, with psoriasis.
You want a tom who's been around the block a little bit.
I do.
You
I want to go to the old folks' home, eat
tom.
me a tom.
Yes, so you want old toms.
Yeah.
You do. And young hens. So you want a young woman. And
easy,
I thought this was,
easy, slow down.
I thought this was kind of an interesting metaphor for humans. Like old men have the benefit of sort of aging gracefully. So it's said.
Right.
And young women, they say they're aged out of Hollywood and so forth. So I thought that was interesting.
Is the tom better if it's got like a bad hip?
The tom has fallen recently and can't get up. It's the best kind of tom. Only toms gobble. So we say gobble, gobble, gobble. That's a male thing.
Oh, really?
The women have no waddle. They don't. Hens have
no waddle.
One
of my favorite things
to
do with my kids is when they love something else, they gobble, 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 and they like it.
Yeah, it's good. Only men. It's very male-centered. So maybe JoJo will not like it as much anymore. The first turkey pardon. Obviously, every year the president pardons the turkey.
And now Barack Obama's doing 2 turkeys, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think
he pardons 2.
He pardons 2 turkeys.
Oh, that's a reckless use of the pardoning power.
Yeah,
I don't think I approve of that. The first one was done apparently by Lincoln. His son said, "I don't want to eat Jack." The turkey had a name, and so Lincoln said, "We won't kill Jack," as a cute thing. It became a sort of formal tradition under Truman in 1947. Before that, Coolidge actually pardoned a raccoon. Someone sent him a raccoon for Thanksgiving, like a fan said, "Here, eat this. This is delicious." And he said, "I'm not into it." So he pardoned the raccoon. The government was encouraging poultry-free celebrations at some point because the national bird was originally going to be the turkey, right? I mean, Ben Franklin
lobbied for the turkey to be the national bird because it was ubiquitous in the New World.
Right.
And then a lot of people said, well, it's kind of an ugly bird because it's got this red scoopy thing on his neck. And so somebody said, well, how about the eagle? And
majestic.
But I can see Ben Franklin, who thought himself better than everybody else. It was like, the people don't understand how great the turkey is. Look at it, it's beautiful. And
they can fly 55 miles an hour. They're actually sort of funny looking and fat, but they're interesting birds.
They can fly 55 miles an hour.
I read that, which is incredible,
Boy,
right?
you buried the lead on the turkey trivia.
I really did. But if the turkey had become the American bird, I think we might be better off. There wouldn't be as much hubris about our nation if we didn't have this like stern, majestic bird, and we actually had kind of a funny turkey.
Our national bird would not be on the verge of extinction either.
That's right.
I mean, turkeys are just abundant. There's billions
They really
of them.
are. They really are. There's too many.
There's so many that we can have 200 million of them eaten every Thanksgiving, and nobody's ever said, boy, we got to get more turkeys.
Right. Right. 2 more quick turkey facts that I wanted to tell you. So the Native American word, you said we didn't eat too much of it on the day, but the Native American word for turkey, furkey. I thought that was pretty amazing. So I don't know if this was just a mispronunciation or sort of a cultural gap. I think we got the name from them saying you want some of our furky.
I just want to say I appreciate everybody indulging us during this discussion, but it's funny because these are the kinds of conversations that Derek and I have every day of the week when we're at work.
In all seriousness, too.
In all seriousness about Furky, and then I have questions like, how did they get from Furky to Turkey? And Derek and I would go on for about 45 minutes of researching and Wikipediaing and all.
But I like to imagine that Squanto said Furky, and they and then sort of rolled his eyes and was like, no, I said turkey, and it has a T. You misread my note. Anyway, the last turkey fact, and of course we have to end. I mean, this is just turkey poop. So turkey poop is actually very interesting. The males, the toms, poop in a spiral, and the females only poop in a J shape. And Jason is rubbing his eyes because what fact did you think I was going to end on? Turkeys poop spiral. You can sex a turkey based on their poop. You can.
Speaking of poop, the first Macy's Day Parade was in 1924.
Didn't you think that was as amazing? Because humans, you can't do that.
Humans, you can't do that.
My wife can, poop with the
Oh,
best
right.
of them.
And on that note, do we have any mail this week, Parker?
Oh, we want to jump into mail time? Yeah.
Mail time.
Remember to write in your questions and comments to behindthebar@tmz.com. And we have a bunch of questions, so I'm not going to go over them all because they're on the exact same topic. Everybody seems to want to know about Kanye West and what he is going through at the moment.
Oh, that is a sad turn from our Thanksgiving.
Late breaking news from funniness or humor with turkeys to seriousness with Kanye West. Derek, so last night, I guess you were here late.
I was
because
here.
The story of Kanye. We got some wind yesterday that Kanye was going through something difficult. He had canceled a concert and then canceled his tours through the end of the year. He was claiming he was just tired, wanted to spend more time with his kids and his wife. But
yeah, he's been ranting on stage even more. He was sort of saying, I was a Trump supporter. He took on Jay-Z and Beyonce in a recent concert and then canceled the entire tour. And everyone's like, what's up with Kanye?
Right. And we're recording this. Usually we do it on Wednesdays, but today it's on Tuesday because of the upcoming holiday. It's Tuesday afternoon
That's right.
Tuesday
afternoon.
Late afternoon right now. And what's the latest that we have on Kanye?
So apparently yesterday at around 1:30, there was an episode between Kanye and he was at his trainer's house, this guy named Harley Pasternak, a sort of celebrity trainer.
Yep.
And there was an episode where he was acting erratically. And so his doctor was called, and the doctor said, this is going to get bad. Kanye is dehydrated. Hasn't slept in days, and sort of part of this behavior is going to get worse, and they actually called the authorities. So the authorities came over and they did what's called a 5150, which means an involuntary psychiatric hold to evaluate someone for 72 hours. It's a process in California. Jason will tell you.
This is a really big deal. I mean, putting someone on a 5150 hold is not just a matter of sort of somebody declaring it. In order to be put under a 5150 hold, all of your rights that we typically enjoy as a citizen are taken away from you, and it's the only context in which they can be taken away from you, and you have not committed a crime.
And without any due process.
Right. And
you are deprived of your liberty.
Just based on the declaration from a doctor, based on the following finding: either you are a danger to yourself or you are an immediate danger to other people. It can't be, something that might happen in the future. It has got to be immediate, and it's got to be because of a psychosis.
It's got to be clinical, too. Like
it's got to be clinical.
The doctor has to say there's an issue here with this patient.
There's a mental issue. So to deprive someone of their entire liberty, so you put them in, you basically confine them to a small space, depending on the advice of a doctor, for 72 hours. They are not allowed to see anybody except family, and that's only with the permission of the physician, the attending physician. If the attending physician feels that the family is going to make things worse, they can absolutely exclude the family from seeing you. And we have to, again, just to get our heads around how serious this is, it's the only context in which somebody who has not committed a crime can have their liberties just stripped away from them. So it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And it stems from this. There's a code provision called 5150, and that's how it's used in California and other places. In Florida, it's called Baker Acting. There's a species of this everywhere.
Yep.
But holding someone, they can only hold them for a limited period of time initially. So initially, it's a 72-hour hold, 3 days, to get the psychiatric episode, which is an acute condition usually going on, a breakdown of sorts, sorts where you're melting down at some due to a mental issue, and they hold you for 72 hours, and then they reevaluate you. And there's actually other provisions called a 5250 where they can hold you for another 2 weeks if a doctor says this needs to be addressed.
At what point, and I don't know the answer to this, I'm not teeing it up, at what point do they have to get a court order to hold you? Does that happen with the 5250?
After the 5250 is the last one you can get, I believe the last one you can get just by the doctors saying so. You need to stay here, the fiat of the doctor, essentially, without any court order. After that, you start to get into conservatorships and where they need to actually go to court to say, we need to hold this person for longer or put them under the care of a physician for an extended period of time. And that's where you get into Amanda Bynes territory and things like that, where you're dealing with a longer-term condition like a schizophrenic individual. Or that's where you want to deal with those over the long term with a medical regimen.
Because it could very well be that someone is a danger to themselves or to other people for a long period of time. You got to deal with court orders there.
It's really serious, though. Look, Kim was accepting an award on behalf of her dad. She hopped on a flight immediately to come back. These are very, very serious issues, and we hope the best for Kanye. I mean, but right now, if the psychiatric hold started yesterday, Thanksgiving's on Thursday, there's a chance he'll be spending Thanksgiving in a hospital.
Yeah. It's funny because we have episodes like this that pop up every Thanksgiving. It seems like the time when major stars sort of go through I mean, the time, I'm not making light of this at all.
No, it's a weird time. It really is. The holidays trigger a lot of feelings.
I think they bring out a lot of, this is the time of the year. It was on Thanksgiving Day or the day after Thanksgiving that Tiger Woods and Elin Nordegren had their famous blow up when she had discovered, I think the story was that she had discovered in his phone text messages to Rachel Yucatel and others suggesting that he was having an affair, and that obviously erupted. I want to say there was another major explosion that happened on Thanksgiving. I'm sorry.
We think of them as happy, warm times, but remember, this is also around the time when Kanye's mother passed away from, I believe it was complications from an elective plastic surgery. Is that right? So she passed away from that around this time, and that a lot of people are saying he's a fairly fragile guy, very sensitive, and that is a trigger for certain behaviors. So we don't know. This is speculation right now. I don't know what his mental state is, what conditions have ever been diagnosed in Kanye. That's not public record, right? I mean, this is stuff that is personal to Kanye that we wouldn't know about, but the story is developing, and we'll learn more, I guess.
All right, so best to Kanye West, and on that not so happy note, very happy Thanksgiving, guys. Please subscribe to our podcast, TMZ Behind the Bar. Check us out on YouTube, SoundCloud for the podcast, the Apple iTunes Store, and Parker, Crystal, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
You too, guys.
And if you see turkeys, tell us what their poop's like. I mean, I was curious when I read that fact, so send it in.
Can we cut out just before that? Thanks for watching. If you want more nerdy deep dives into the legal side of celebrity news, hit our subscribe button right here.
And check out our previous episodes over here.